Liverpool, England, October 23rd, 2006. The McKenna family was enjoying a peaceful walk through the city centre when something extraordinary happened. Their 5-year-old son, Ryan, suddenly froze in front of a record shop window. Behind the glass hung a giant poster of the Beatles, and Ryan stared at it as if recognising an old memory. He stepped closer, pointed directly at John Lennon and said, "Mom, that's me. That used to be me when I was famous." Sarah laughed nervously. "Sweetheart, those are the Beatles. That picture is older than me." But Ryan didn't blink. "No, Mom. I remember when they took that picture. It was hot that day, and Paul was really nervous." A cold tremor rolled up Sarah's spine. Ryan had never heard Beatles music at home. He didn't know band names. His English was barely kindergarten level 2 years ago. Michael crouched beside him. "Ryan, this is the first time you're seeing this." But the boy shook his head. "No, I remember. I sang for crowds. They screamed so loud. I know songs nobody else knows. I hid special things too." Sarah pulled his hand. "Let's go home, honey." But as they walked away, Ryan looked back at the poster. "One day you'll believe me, I promise." They didn't know it yet, but this moment was the beginning of one of the most detailed reincarnation cases ever recorded. The first memories. In the days that followed, the McKennas expected Ryan to forget his strange words. He didn't. He began humming melodies far too complex for a 5-year-old. When Sarah asked where he heard them, Ryan calmly answered, "I made them when I was big." One night, Sarah found him staring out the window with a distant, adult expression. "Ryan, what's wrong?" Without looking at her, he whispered, "Being famous isn't fun. People love your voice, but they don't know you." Sarah stepped back in fear. Something was happening to her boy. The accent. A week later, during dinner, Ryan was playing with toy cars when he suddenly began speaking in perfect English. Not just English, but a 1960s Liverpool accent. "I lived in a big white house with Yoko," he murmured. "She wore long white dresses. Her hair was black and very long." Sarah dropped her fork. "Ryan, who's Yoko?" He looked up, sadness in his eyes. "She was my wife, Mom. I miss her." The music test. The next evening, Michael played Here Comes the Sun as a test. The moment the intro began, Ryan screamed, "Turn it off! George is playing my guitar!" Michael froze. How does he know George plays that part? Ryan burst into tears. "I wrote that song. I wrote it for Julian. It was for my boy." Sarah held him, terrified. Their son wasn't pretending. He was remembering. The Beatles Museum. 3 weeks later, desperate for answers, they took Ryan to the Beatles Museum. The moment they entered, Ryan ran straight to a Rickenbacker guitar behind glass. "That's my guitar. I bought it in New York in 1964. There's a scratch right here." He pointed to a spot invisible to the human eye. The museum guide, Thomas, stuttered. "Son, there's no scratch there," Ryan insisted. "Yes, there is, under the second string. I dropped it in Abbey Road when we recorded Norwegian Wood." Thomas went pale. That detail wasn't in books, online, or anywhere publicly known. Only John Lennon and studio staff could know that. And Ryan wasn't done. He described the Cavern Club, the broken bathroom, the steep stairs, the smell Paul hated, and a harmonica he always left in a specific corner. None of it was documented, but all of it was true. The night songs. 2 nights later, Ryan began waking at 3:17 a.m. every night. He sang melodies no one had ever heard. Sarah recorded one. Ryan called it Lucy's Dream. Michael sent it to Dr. James Harrison, a Beatles expert. 2 days later, the professor replied, The composition matches Lennon's early style exactly, and Paul mentioned a similar idea in a private diary entry from 1963. Their son had written a lost Lennon song. He wrote more: Strawberry Mine, Julia's Lullaby, Penny Lane. Backwards, Tomorrow's Yesterday, Dr. Harrison matched every one of them to unpublished Lennon notes, impossible, drawings of a past life. On December 2nd, Ryan woke crying for Yoko. He then drew floor-to-ceiling windows, a white piano, hanging plants, the circular bed, the recording equipment in the corner. Michael compared it to photos of the Dakota Building. It was a perfect match. The trip to New York on Christmas Eve, the family flew to New York. At JFK, Ryan gave flawless directions to Manhattan. At the Dakota Building, he pressed his hands to the stone. "I'm home." The doorman approached. Ryan looked up and asked, "Where's Harold? He used to greet me. He gave me mint candies." Harold had died in 1995. Only real residents knew him. Then Ryan placed his hand on a bronze plaque, inhaled deeply, and began singing, "Imagine There's No Heaven." Not like a child, but like a grown man from Liverpool. The doorman cried, "That's him, that's John." Ryan collapsed afterward. "I don't like singing that song, it always scares me." The recording sent for analysis. That night at the hotel, Michael couldn't stop replaying the audio. Every note, every breath, every crack. It was Lennon. He finally made a decision. He sent the recording to Dr. Harrison with a short message. "Please examine this professionally. Is this really the voice of a child or something else?" Neither parent slept. 6 hours later, Harrison replied, "The man who waited." On December 26th, Ryan woke screaming, "I dreamed about the man again, the man who hurt me." He described Mark David Chapman perfectly. His thick glasses, his angry expression, his black coat, his book, The Catcher in the Rye, the freezing weather that night, the recording session that afternoon, every detail matched history. Meeting Yoko, Dr. Harrison arranged the impossible. Ryan met Yoko Ono. The moment he saw her, he whispered, "My love, I missed you so much." Yoko gasped. Ryan played a song on her piano, a song Lennon never finished, The Bridge Between Worlds. 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Perfect. Then he looked up. "Do you still keep the last letter I wrote you? The one telling you that if something happened, I'd come back somehow?" Yoko collapsed in tears. That letter existed, hidden, private, never shown to anyone. Fading memories. 3 months later, the memories faded. Ryan became a normal child again, but the song he played became a global phenomenon. Yoko Ono said, "For a moment in time, a moment impossible to explain, Ryan was my husband returning to finish what he couldn't. Even today, scientists can't explain it. Sometimes Ryan wakes with melodies he doesn't remember learning and a strange ache in his chest, as if searching for someone from another lifetime." Final closing. Even so, it didn't feel like an ending. It felt more like a story that had simply fallen quiet. A voice paused between breaths, waiting, somewhere in another time, another world, to return again. Some stories don't end. They just fade into silence.